Okay, I thought it might be easier to go through the wires with a little context here. It might be too windy to hear me. We'll see. So, positive battery cable, yellow wire connected to the 12 volt side of the starter solenoid, goes up to the horn relay. So there's the 12 volt wire, and then you've got the horn ground wire, this blue and yellow, and that goes up through the harness to the cab. And then here's this green and yellow wire that comes back from the horn relay, and it comes into this plug with a green and red wire coming from the cab, which I believe is the signal wire. So these wires come to the voltage regulator and to the horn. So here's the green and yellow horn wire, and it plugs into the horn, and my horns are right there, and that works. And then the red and green wire that's coming from that plug from the cab connects into the voltage regulator at the S terminal. The I terminal is unused. There's an orange wire that's going into the F for the field. And then there are these paired yellow wires. This is the radio noise thingy. And then this yellow wire that's from the voltage regulator. And this yellow wire comes back from the voltage regulator and comes into this splice here, and that black wire is the one that looks burnt or clipped or melted. And coming out of the other side of that is this red wire with what looks like a brown chaser on it that joins up with a large black wire with a yellow stripe and a small yellow wire with black. Goes into this splice, and out come two large black wires with red. They're pretty long, and one of those goes along with the orange field wire into this jacket to the back of the alternator. Coming out of that jacket is the white and black wire, and this is the only fusible link that I actually can find in my truck. There's probably supposed to be more of them. And then that goes into a plug, and now you can see up here it's very clearly white and black. I believe that wire is supposed to go to the electric choke. The carb that is in here does not have an electric choke, but here is what looks like white and black wire and maybe a purple or blue. Maybe it was blue and red, and the reds faded from the sun, but this comes to a little electrical connector that's just hanging out in the engine bay. So I'm guessing maybe that was for the electric choke at some point in the carb. There's also this other mystery little green connector hanging out here that has never gone to anything since I've owned the truck. So if we back up and we come back to our big power cables coming from the voltage regulator. So that goes to the, this goes to the alternator. And then on the other side of this is the original large black and yellow cable right there, and the previous owner cut that so that they could splice it into this multi-battery isolator. But at the end of the day, let's see if I can hold this. Basically, we come back out and we've joined back to, that back out of the way, the big black and yellow cable that runs into the cab. The other cable that's coming out of this connection, I guess there's two others. There's this red one with brown that's going back into the cab, and there is this yellow one with black which is going back into the cab. And then we've got our red and blue here on the S terminal. We've got our brown on the I terminal. This big cable is going down to the starter motor. So that is what is in the engine bay. The ignition module is over here on the driver's side. I think that's working okay. Come around here to the cab. Here's the big black and yellow cable, and it splices into this thick yellow cable, and this goes down to the ignition switch. And there's continuity between the ignition switch and that big black yellow cable that is out in the engine bay. And I think I found the culprit, which I found this laying down lower in the cab. And if that focuses, I believe that at one point was connected to the 12-volt side of the starter solenoid, which I have replaced with a new one.